So thank you for joining us. This is one of the first of two neighborhood meetings that we're having for the Planning Department's small area amendment application. This is the second amendment to the IDO, and this is the first one that addresses small areas. In today's presentation, again, it's recorded. If you have questions as we go ahead and please put those in the chat box, and my colleagues will be monitoring that and chiming in to get my attention if we need to stop or responding to those questions. Otherwise, we'd like to keep the substantial questions to the breakout rooms. And as I said, we can do multiple rounds if that's needed. Using Zoom, if you hover over the bottom of your screen, there's kind of a toolbar that will help you navigate and leave the meeting. If you need the volume up, use the audio on your phone or computer. And we would like to see everyone who's in the room, so especially in the breakouts, if you're comfortable using your video, please do that. To begin with, zoning, this is a tool that it's a constitutional right that we can control what uses happen on a property to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. And the ways that we do that is local jurisdictions will control what uses can happen on a property, the quality of the development, that's the development standards, and also the review and approval process. And the purpose of zoning is really to implement policies and generally to make sure that land is developed in an orderly manner. So when we're thinking about zoning, you want to start with the vision and think about what type of city you want to be. That drives the goals and the policies. And then finally, the zoning is actually how the vision is implemented. The city has recently updated its comprehensive plan and the integrated development ordinance. So the comprehensive plan, those are the policies that we have and the goals and the vision. And so that talks about where we want to grow, how do we measure progress, what do we invest in to achieve our vision. And the integrated development ordinance is how we get there. And so there's not only citywide rules and citywide zones, there's tailored rules. And so we've adopted policies saying that we should grow more in our centers and corridors. What that also means is that we want to protect the established neighborhoods. Those are called areas of consistency. And so we want less change there, lower density, and shorter buildings usually. We also have rules that apply to specific overlay zones. Those are historic overlays, character protection overlays, view protection overlays. The other tool, in addition to tailored rules, is there's citywide rules that apply that when there's two different areas next to each other, like an area of change where we want growth next to an area of consistency where we want stability. So there should be a good transition between those. We also want transitions or buffer zones between neighborhoods and also next to sensitive lands. So the integrated development ordinance, that's what we call our zoning code. It's structured into 7 chapters. The main ones we'll be talking about today are the zones, that's 2 and 3, the uses, that's 4. So those include the list of uses, and that also includes standards related to those uses. Part 5 is the development standards. Those are how good development needs to be, like the building heights, setbacks, the amount of parking required. And part 6 is the processes. So that's how you would get an approval. What we also have in this presentation is a link to the integrated development ordinance, if you want to check that out later after the meeting. And then also in this presentation, there's a link to an interactive map. And so in this map, each of the different parts, like part 3, the purple zones, we've tried to color code things so people start getting familiar with that. The small area rules. So most of these small area rules are to add protections and protections that are tailored to small areas and not citywide. We'll find these rules basically throughout the zoning code. The first one is they're in overlay zones. So a lot of the overlay zones came from prior sector plans, but some of the rules also are related to uses. So they're in part 4, so that's the use section. If it's something that's related to a development standard like signage or parking, you'll find that in part 5. And if it's related to the process, that will be in part 6. Another new thing to note on the slide, at the beginning of the integrated development ordinance, there's 2 tables. It's the same content, but it's a list of all of the small area rules. The first one is in the order of the IDO, so chapter by chapter. The second table 2 is all the small areas are grouped by that area name. Also, when you go to the map, if you click on any of these areas that are highlighted in different colors, it'll tell you what the name is. So if you enter your address, you can kind of find which small areas would apply to that property. So the part 3, the overlay zones, this is the bulk of what we'll be talking about today. They're the character protection overlays, which is CPO, HPO's historic protection overlay, and VPO is the view protection overlay. And so it's citywide. A lot of them are in the central city, 3 on the west side, and then the near heights is just a little out of downtown, but also on the east side. There's a few proposed changes that apply to allowable uses. The first set are some changes for the Volcano Mesa sub areas. This is part of a character protection overlay up on the Mesa. They relate to mostly auto-oriented uses, manufacturing, warehousing, and wholesaling, and solid waste. And so what that does is expand the rules that would right now only apply to major public open space to also portions of Volcano Mesa that are near the major public open space. And in some cases, it makes these uses conditional. In some cases, it makes it prohibitive. The second allowable use change is in the uptown area. There's a proposal to change and allow restaurant drive-ups near I-40. And so right now you can have a drive-up in uptown, but it can't be for a restaurant. And so that's one thing that would be allowed, because that's kind of the more auto-oriented portion of uptown. Part 5, the development standards. So in this one, there's a few changes, mostly near the downtown area. One of them is regarding lot sizes in the downtown center to allow more flexible infill. Second one is changing parking and parking structure standards, or rather just more clarifying them for the East Downtown area. Another one would be allowing rooftop signs in the downtown center and within 330 feet. And then finally, there's an electronic sign prohibition in the Volcano Mesa area. So now that we've updated kind of a new zoning code, the integrated development ordinance, we want to make sure that the rules that we have are the right rules. And there's a couple of ways, and the main way is that we want to make sure that we're revisiting them frequently. So there's an annual update process. The first update was really big. It was a lot needed to be done, and that just recently became effective on November 2nd. And so we apologize, we're already starting the next update again, but the first one didn't include any of these small areas, and that was because we needed to do notification to all the property owners. And so that's like another reason why we wanted to have this second round start right away. And the way that the update process works is that we'll publish a list of meetings. Publish a list of the changes, have public meetings, and then there's a review and decision process going through 3 steps: Environmental Planning Commission, the city's Land Use Planning and Zoning Subcommittee of City Council, and then the full council. So the annual update process, that's kind of the main way that so far we've been updating and getting the rules right. The second one I'd like to talk about is community planning area assessments. Those are about ready to get started early next year. And so we will be going citywide over the course of 4 years, visiting with each of the 12 community planning areas. That works out to 3 a year. And we will spend 4 months in each area. And so that's kind of, will give us some more time to look at area specific things and also look at area specific rules that need to be written or changed. And finally, council planning projects is another way if there's kind of a new topical thing that we haven't yet considered. the vacation rentals is one example of a council planning project that was a little bit more than the planning department could manage on its own. So council worked through that with a consultant team. In terms of timeline for these, we're having the small area neighborhood meetings today, this one that you're in, and another one at 5:30. In December, we're also doing an annual update for citywide rule changes, and we'll have some public meetings for that in December. The submittal of these changes and when everyone will get the list of these changes will happen at the end of this month, and that'll work us towards a hearing in January 2021. So that'll be the first public hearing. After that, it'll move to the LEPs and then full council.